Good morning, 8th graders. Good morning, Mobile County Public School System. Shout out to my school, Lott Middle School, my principal, Mr. Golden, my assistant principal, Ms. Merriman, my 8th grade team, some students this morning who I was so excited that we went through your work and you did so well. Shout out to Jalen Thomas this morning, Braden Yancey, Jacaria White, Samaya Jones. Thanks you guys for working hard during this crazy time, but getting your work in. I appreciate the hard work, and you should be looking for something special from me in the coming days. So it's our last day together, and that's a little sad. Teachers are already feeling it because we didn't really officially get to say goodbye to you guys, and so I'm kind of like the representative, and it's our last day. So I thought I would just be myself and bring a little something extra to the table today. Make sure that you text a friend because there's something special that we have for you guys today if you're watching the lesson. So you have to watch all the way through the end so that you know what to do. And I'll be talking to you about that in a minute. So last week we talked about what is argument writing and what are the parts of that. And I kind of started talking to you guys about what that looks like. And today I'm actually going to write it, so to speak, on the screen, okay? So we were talking about Michael Jordan last week, and we started there, and we're going to finish it this week. Some of the kids sent me some little messages, and I know y'all are feeling it. Miss Boyd, no, he's not. Well, again, that's the whole point of argument, presenting your stance and then supporting that. So let's see what we're doing today. Okay, so today we're going to review that standard that we looked at last week. We're going to identify our targets for the day. What are we doing? What are we looking at? And then we're going to write our argument. Okay, well, my argument, because apparently I'm the only person that thinks that about Michael Jordan. All right, by the end of the lesson, you guys at home will be able to say, I can make a claim. Okay, if you don't remember, or if you didn't catch us last week, we'll talk about what that is. You can provide reasons and evidence. You'll be able to explain your reasons. You can address that other side, okay? Remember, that's that counterclaim and the rebuttal. And then you guys are going to have a chance to win a prize. So that was one of the little extra somethings for today. You have to watch all the way through the end so that you'll have the question that you need to answer. And I'm not giving you the answer, okay? And so I'll talk about how you can submit your information so that you'll be considered for a special prize, which will be either a Chick-fil-A shirt or a Chick-fil-A gift card. All you got to do is watch all the way through, submit your answer, and I'll show you how to do that and who to submit it to at the end. So stay tuned. All right, so our standard is a writing standard. I showed this to you guys last week. It is writing 8.1. So we're talking about write arguments to support a claim with reasons, clear reasons, and evidence. So just to recap, what is an argument? Remember I told you it's not two people going back and forth and yelling over each other. That's a fight waiting to happen. An argument, though, is an essay, a writing that's showing you both sides. Okay, last week I told you to think about it like boxing. Okay, each side wants to make their point. They're trying to connect their thoughts. So the other side, once we get there, you'll see that that other side is your opponent. Okay, if you think about it like that, then you know exactly when you need to give that information, okay, for your side, and then when you need to kind of pull back. All right, remember we talked last week, there are 6 parts of an argumentative essay, and so we have our claim, which is our stance or our position. Okay, so if you think about it like boxing, it's when you get into a position, you prepare yourself to defend yourself, all right? You give your reasons, all right? That's you moving around, okay, in the ring, making your point, jabbing and sticking, all right? You give evidence. If you tell somebody that you believe something or you feel a certain way, you can't just say because my mama said or because that's just what I think. You have to give reasons and evidence that support it where we're like, oh, okay, I saw that. Whether or not they agree with you is not the issue, but you want to give information that is supporting your claim and your reasons from credible sources, okay? While your mom may be a great person, she wouldn't necessarily be considered a credible source on certain issues, all right? And then you want to be able to explain it. Just because you tell somebody that you think or feel something or believe something, okay, and you tell them why, and then you start pulling out evidence, you got to make them understand how those three things are connecting. Then you have to always be thinking about the other side. So this is where, you know, you would be doing that moving if you were in a boxing ring. So they're coming at you with something, and you got to be able to move out the way because you know that there's an other side to the issue, and you want to be able to come back, okay, when they step to you, when they do their step back, and you want to be able to hit them with a rebuttal, which is going back to show them why what you think is better than what they think, okay? All right, so we're right back to this. Our claim, all right, or my claim. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. Now, I know that documentary is going on, and I know some of you are watching it, and if you didn't watch it before, you probably watched it between last Tuesday and today. All right, this is the claim. Whether or not you agree with it, that's not really up for debate because it's my job to show you and explain to you and try to convince you that my claim is valid, it's justified, okay? So, 3 reasons why I think Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. So, what we're going to do is pay attention to how we're saying it, how we're presenting the reasons. So, if I have to give reasons, we want to use transition words and phrases. One reason is because of his winning attitude and dedication. And I presented that to you guys last week. Okay, instead of saying a second reason, which sounds, you know, like you're saying 1, 2, 3, I just shifted to another reason is he won 6 championships with the Bulls. The last one, I said lastly, and I didn't say third or finally. You can change it up, but I went with that particular word to transition. Lastly, his brand symbolizes being the best. Now, let me just warn you, if you are not a Michael Jordan fan, you might be feeling a little salty as we go through today's lesson, but I promise you it's going to be okay. And if you don't agree with me, what you should be doing is coming up with reasons to support who you think the greatest basketball player of all time is, okay? So as we go through, if you're not in agreement with me, that's okay. But can you support who you think is the greatest basketball player of all time with some valid reasons and then give some evidence, which is what we're going to be moving into, okay? So if you're thinking somebody else, I'll give you like 5 seconds to think about 3 reasons that your whoever is better than Michael Jordan, that they're the greatest player of all time, okay? So we're going to review that first reason that I talked about last week, and then we're going to look at that today because what we're doing is piecing together our argument. Now, if you are in your classroom or if you had a packet or you were working online, your teacher may have given you a graphic organizer to put your reasons in. It may have been a web organizer. It may have been an outline. When I do my writings, I'm just talking about Miss Boyd, I like to write my claim, and then I like to have a section where I list my reasons, and then I like to have a section where I put my evidence, and then I do the same thing for the other sections. And when I do it with my students, then I give them those areas too and kind of give them some options. So there are several different ways you can organize the information, which is how I'm showing you how we're piecing it together here. But either way that you choose, the important part is to make sure that you have all 6 parts of the argumentative essay. All right, so let's look at the evidence. And I included the reason here so we can make sure that they tie together. Okay, so let's go back to that very first reason. One reason is because of his winning attitude and dedication. Okay, and so then I gave you a piece of evidence here. According to SportsCenter, once he played an entire game with the flu. Okay, remember last week I told you that when you give evidence, it comes from credible sources. So it wants to be, we want it to be something or someone that is believable. Okay, if your grandpa watches Michael Jordan and he watched every game, while he may have a lot of information, you really wouldn't use him to push your argument. You may want to say, my grandfather told me that on SportsCenter last week, and then SportsCenter becomes that credible source, okay? So we want to make sure that we're careful about where our evidence comes from. So here, I've identified SportsCenter as that credible source. Okay, now what does that even mean to talk about he played with the flu? So let's look at what I said last week, and notice I have it color coded so that you can see where each part is in your defense, okay? Because that's what you're doing, you're defending. So if he played an entire game with the flu, how does that show us that he has a winning attitude and dedication? Well, fever, fatigue, and nausea are all symptoms of the flu. Imagine how he must have felt while running up and down the court with a fever. This shows his dedication. So what I'm doing here is explaining to you how that contributes to and proves his dedication to the game. So that's our first reason, color coded so that you can see the reason, the evidence, and the explanation, okay? Now, if you get a little hot under the collar, grab some ice water because it's just going to get a little hotter for you while we're talking about Michael Jordan. I expect to see some more messages from my students, and I totally welcome the healthy debate because this is what it's all about. All right, so here I've put reason 2 all together, okay? So let's look at our second reason. Another reason is he won 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls, all right? So then I go to my little piece of evidence here. This happened in 2 different phases of his career with rotating team members, okay? Now, if you're wondering what is rotating team members, people that he started out with on the team weren't necessarily the people that he ended, okay, with on the team. And I won't go into the whole Michael Jordan history, but you know, he left and then he came back. So some things kind of shifted and he was still a champion. All right, so what does that mean that it happened in 2 different phases with rotating team members? Okay, this shows he valued his team, he thought they were important, and the organization valued him. So his team didn't say, hey, we're getting rid of you at the end of the season or mid-season. They held on to him because there was value in him for the team. All right. It also shows that he was able to share the game as well as execute his game no matter who was on his team. What does that mean, Miss Boyd? Well, sharing the game. He wasn't ball hogging. Okay. While he did have his moments, he used his team members to his advantage for the whole team because if the team wins, he wins. So this is our reason number 2. Again, another reason, we've given it, we've given evidence, and then we've explained it. Now, something I want to point out here is the number of sentences, because one of my students asked me about, aren't you supposed to have like 5 or more sentences? Yes. And here, when I was putting it on the screen, this is just about the space of the screen. But typically, you should have about 5 sentences or more for a paragraph. And it depends on what your teacher's asking for and the information that you have to put into your argument, okay? Now, we're going into our third reason, our final reason for this, all right? So, last reason that Michael Jordan, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player of all time. Lastly, his brand symbolizes being the best, okay? Brand is important. If you don't know what the brand is, we'll kind of figure it out as we go into this piece. All right, for example, people still want to wear his shoes. How do I know that? Because 2 weeks ago, a retro shoe was released and it sold out online. And in some places where people could go to the stores and shop, we had the lines outside again. And it happens every time. People line up for his shoes. And Michael Jordan has not played basketball in a very long time. And people are still buying those shoes, okay? Now, reason, some evidence here, and then we want to explain that. Other players, such as LeBron James and Kevin Durant, have their own shoes, but Jordans still outsell them. If you're not positive about that, and we were actually face-to-face having this discussion as opposed to a writing, I could point out, you know, we could look up on Nike, how many pairs of shoes does he sell every year? And the fact that they're retros. Retro, you know, means back. So it's the same shoe just being released at a different time, and it's still selling from all those years before, okay? So we've got our final reasoning here. We've given a piece of evidence to support that, okay? And then we've explained what that means. People still want to wear his shoes. Yeah, people wear other people's shoes, so if you're thinking about one of these people as possibly your greatest player of all time, they do sell shoes, but they don't outsell Jordan, okay? Now here, You see, I only have 3 sentences. And again, for the screen, but we could have said a little bit more, which I expressed as I was explaining it to you. The thing that you want to remember, okay, in each one of these is that when you give your reason, you want to make sure that you are giving that evidence and that you are giving an explanation. The point of writing it down, number one, I can tell how this might be where, some of my boys would be going back and forth and getting all heated and not giving solid evidence. You got to make sure that you got all your information, because that's what's going to make your teachers read your papers and consider that you're really thinking about it. And if you are having a verbal discussion, debate, argument with someone, the way that people really take the time to listen to what you're saying is if your information actually makes sense. It can't just be because you like somebody more than the other, okay? Now, hopefully you've been listening to what I've been saying, okay? We have a little bit of a quiz here, okay? And then you can think about what you do and don't know. And before we do that, I'm just going to give you a quick review of our 6 parts so that you can try to answer those questions. And then I'm going to give you the magic question of the day that will give you the chance to win a prize. All right? So remember that we have 6 parts of an argumentative essay, 6 parts. Okay? We have our claim. We have reasons. What comes next? Think about it. And I'm leaving this up here so you can look at it, which is why I color-coded it. Claim, reason, evidence. If you said evidence, you are exactly right. And then when you give that evidence, what do you need to do to that evidence? You need to explain it, okay? And then we need to consider our what? What should be happening? Remember I told you about boxing, and so there's that counterclaim and the rebuttal, okay? And so we want to do that, and then we can see if we actually remember all these parts, and you can take your quiz, and you guys can get your chance to win something. All right, our counterclaim right at the end of this. Remember what the claim is initially. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I purposely keep saying that because I know some of y'all are like, not even right. All right, so let's see what the other side may have to say about that. Some sports fanatics may say that LeBron James is the greatest of all time. They may say it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, according to my argument. So how do I push that argument? However, James's career doesn't show any accomplishments that greatly distinguish him from any other great players before him. That's a mouthful, Ms. Boyd. What does that even mean? What are you saying? I still like him. You have the right to like him. But I'm saying that if somebody is considered to be the greatest, then they've done things that nobody else has done. And what this statement is saying here is that while LeBron is a great player, we can't take that away from him, he hasn't really done anything that other players before him haven't done. He hasn't done anything to set himself apart. Has he won championships? Yes, but not 6 with the same team. Has he, scored some great numbers and rebounds? Yeah, but not more than Bill Russell. You can check the stats yourself, okay? You're entitled to your opinion, but once you give your opinion, when you make that claim, are you able to defend it with reasons and evidence? Are you able to consider what I'm saying and come back with a rebuttal that supports what you said in the beginning? Because I did, and you can look this stuff up, because before I came to you guys with it, that's exactly what I did. I looked it up, okay? And lots of people think different things, but in my argument, I've considered what the other sides would say, and I've given information to rebut that, the rebuttal, to say, yeah, you might consider that, but he hasn't done anything to distinguish himself. And then I just kind of listed those things that Jordan has done that have distinguished him, okay? All right, so we've talked about our claim. I have presented you with the reasons. I've provided you with evidence. I have explained my reasons. I gave you the counterclaim for all you LBJs out there, the King fans. And then I've told you why that doesn't really mean anything with regards to this argument, okay? So now that we've done all that, and then I reviewed the 6 parts with you, we're going to do a little bit of a quiz, just a couple questions to see if you actually know your stuff, all right? And then I'm going to tell you how to possibly win a Chick-fil-A shirt or a gift card, okay? So it's quiz time. Get your thinking caps on. If you took notes last week, this is a good time to have them. And if you think you got it, well, let's just go ahead and rock and roll. All right. What is the most important part of an argument? Is it A, the reasons? Is it B, an explanation? Or is it C, claim? I'll give you a minute. Imagine the Jeopardy music playing right here. I know it's hard. 3 reasons, 3 explanations, 1 claim. Which is the most important? If you are making an argument, if you are writing an argument, if you're in the middle of a debate, the most important part is the claim. What are you talking about? What's your position? If you're just giving reasons and no one knows what you're talking about, it's wasted energy. The most important part of an argument is the claim, because that is your position, your stance, what you're thinking and what you want to convince people to believe or agree with you about, okay? So if you said claim on that one, kudos, you got that right. All right, how is the claim of an argument supported? How do we push our argument? How do we make people see what we're saying or move them to our side, get them to think the way we think? Is it A, you support it by providing reasons? Is it B, provide reasons, evidence, and explanation? Or C, provide reasons and evidence? Think about when I showed you the reasons and the color coding. Okay, that should give you a sense of where your right answer is. Are we just giving people reasons when we want to support an argument? Are we giving them reasons and then evidence and then explaining that to them? Or are we just giving them reasons and evidence? It's almost like I can hear y'all. Absolutely. B, you give reasons to support your claim, why you think that. You give evidence to say, hey, I think this because so-and-so said, or according to, okay? And then you explain what that means. So if you got those 2, you've pretty much got it, okay? The hard part is sitting down and digging in and doing the writing. And now that we have come to our final lesson, I'm so saddened by it. This is our last day together, which means I won't see you guys literally until August. Fingers crossed, guys, that we start school on time. So let's see, how do you get the chance to win a Chick-fil-A gift card or a Chick-fil-A shirt? I know I don't get either one of them, so I hope you guys dig in. All right, this is the question. I know you thought I was going to ask you another quiz question, but this is a quiz question because I'm still in my stance on Michael Jordan being the greatest player of all time. Now, this is a tricky question before you start Googling stuff. When did Michael Jordan retire from basketball for good? Like it was over. That is your question, okay? When did he retire for good? When you get your answer, you're going to email it to mcpsstv@mcpss.com, okay? And when you do your email, you're going to say 8th grade answer, 8th grade ELA answer. You can go on the Mobile County Facebook page, and they should have that email address for you, but that's pretty much it, mcpsstv@mcpss.com. Let me just give you the question one more time. Come on down from being upset about me not saying LeBron is the greatest player forever and ever, and think about what is the answer to this question about Michael Jordan that's going to get you the opportunity to get a Chick-fil-A gift card or a Chick-fil-A shirt for good. I'm stressing that for a reason. When did he retire? Forever. Okay? And again, here's that email address. I am out of time and we are out of lesson, but you guys, I want you to have a great summer. I want you to relax, recenter yourselves, and get ready for the 2021 year and go into high school. So proud of you guys. I hope you have the best summer ever. Bye.